Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Yes, there is a calmer me tonight, but only fractionally calmer. I'll wait for a few people to get in there. Just to make sure everyone understands what I'm saying on the screen. The feeling of being conned by a pretense of Englishness. What does that mean? Like you've got people like Rupert Lowe, and there's many others, by the way, but Rupert Lowe waving an English flag and telling everyone how English he is and all that bullshit, and he's an out-and-out unionist. The union is destroying England. In my opinion, it was always set up that way. Although the advancement on England and destroying England really kicked in from the early 1800s. But there's a whole story around how and why and what they started to do. But we're going to be talking about a few things tonight. But the pretense of being English. I've seen many other people. I'm getting very concerned that the majority of the people I'm looking at in Restore are Catholic. The Catholics disarmed the Protestants, and again, we've all been disarmed. The Jesuits were banned in 1829 from England. They were banished from England in 1829. We don't do them things for fun, but there was a reason. In 1848, the said Jesuits caused and created a civil war. So technically not the Jews, technically not Islam, but the Jesuits created a civil war in Switzerland, the Sunderland Civil War, I believe it was called, or the Sunderland, in 1848. And at the end of that war, Switzerland became completely neutral and swore that they would never fight each other brother on brother again. But it was created by the Jesuits, and they banished the Jesuits from Switzerland. Now, people need to understand the way I'm seeing this. I'm an Englishman, I'm a Protestant, we have a settlement. It's been in place for hundreds of years. It's no longer being enforced. It's not worth the paper it's written on if the enforcement is not there, right? But I need to make it clear, I will not and do not support Restore Britain. I feel I am being conned. That is my personal opinion of what I'm seeing. I said to someone else today when they rang me, there's no communication with these people. I think it's gone beyond them not. They're incapable of being able to deal with the amount of members they've got in such a short time. I'm being honest with you, that's bollocks, right? Because not many people would put themselves forward to assist, to do things, to stand up and say, yeah, no, I'll do this, I'll do that, blah, blah, blah. I know that from my own experience. Even with, when we was 3,000 members, it was difficult. But the amount of people that actually stood there and said, yeah, we'll help, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, is minuscule to the amount of members you've actually got. But again, I feel like I'm being conned, just like Tommy Robinson conned me on English, and he did in a big way. He went around the country waving the English flag in the English Defence League. He suckered lots of people into that movement. And just to make sure I'm clear on this, I was never, ever part of that. It wasn't an actual recorded movement with members as such, but I wasn't actually part of that. Part of the reason was I didn't like what I actually saw. And again was actually always funded. Tommy Robinson was always funded by the Zionists. That means the Jews, or Zionist Jews to be more precise. Now he displays, this is Tommy Robinson, the British flag. It feels like the same con again. And I've put out a couple of tweets today. It feels so similar And I believe in self-determination for England. That is my core function. That is our core function. To do anything else and to assist in another regiment of the Unionists, which is what Restore Britain is, to assist them would be in my opinion, would be assisting the enemy. And I do see them as the enemy. They're bringing a lot of young people on board, and I'm going to get to another point in a couple of minutes. But I've been there. I've seen it all. I'm not interested in being conned again. Like I say, there is an old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Been there, seen it and done it. As far as I can see, Rupert Lowe is doing exactly that. He's doing a Tommy Robinson. He's conning people and suckering people in with this English flag and we're about England, etc. I've seen enough, especially over the last week. And funny enough, whilst I don't agree with ethno-nationalism, because I'm an English constitutionalist, and the English constitution does deal with foreigners in a big way, it's funny that I've seen things, for example, Alistair Harrison. So I'm going to bring it up again. And the reason I bring it up because I think it's important to say it. And again, we're going to have a conversation about this. Alistair Harrison is running the parliamentary office of Restore Britain. His wife is Ukrainian. Rupert Lowe loves the word, and he's been using it a lot, indolent. That the English are indolent, or the British are indolent, right? I haven't actually heard him say the Scottish are indolent, or the Welsh are indolent, or the Northern Irish are indolent. But I've certainly heard him say the British are indolent, right? And again, this other guy who's 20 years old that starts telling everyone how lazy they are, right? So my question to this audience is, why is it that Rupert Lowe is employing a foreigner in his parliamentary office, a Ukrainian woman married to Alistair Harrison, I believe his name is, who is against nationalism and is a full-blown unionist, right? And he's married to a Ukrainian. And yet Rupert Lowe is telling us how indolent we are, how lazy we are, etc. And he's actively employing foreigners. Why is that? Why has he done that? There's plenty of English out there out of work. Trust me. There's plenty of English that can't get jobs because they're being discriminated against, right? And yet he has employed a Ukrainian. I've got to be honest with you. That really, 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 really did tip me. I thought, and the thing is, it come from the ethno-nationalists, right? So I'm not saying everything that ethno-nationalists say. I listen to them, right? And I will listen to them. I think it's nonsense to try and say we're going to get rid of every black person, every brown person in the country, right? It's just not going to happen. That's just insulting people's intelligence, right? But the English Constitution would deal with the foreigners in a big way, and will deal with whether or not they're born of English parents, and having any positions of authority. Right, so you wouldn't get Polish and out. But one of the things I did want to talk about tonight, apart from the fact that I'm going to an event this Thursday night, just outside Exeter, it's called Goffinland. Let me see if I can bring it up on your screen. Not sure if I can actually bring it up or not, but we'll try and bring it up on your screen. If not, I'll have to try and post it up in some way. Let's see if I can bring that up. This is from Sandy Evans, who is speaking there. And I'm going to put the address up. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it or not. Let me put it up on the screen. Hopefully you will be able to put it up in the screen. So please you can make it, and yeah, we would love you to speak. The English Constitution is so important now. I'll send you the address. I think it's near you. Gray's Barn, Gothinland. Let me just make sure I can bring that up. Pinho, Exeter, EX4, 9JL, and it's 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And again, Sandy Evans will be talking about the destruction of the UK, 2030, etc. And I think you could be more solution-based with the knowledge you have. And that's what I intend to do, is to tell people what the actual solution is. So there's the information on your screen. There is a flyer for this, but I've been invited along by Sandy Evans to come and speak there. And I only live about an hour away from there. So I'm going to go along and have a chat with them, just to let you know. So that's only for an hour. It's not going to be a seminar as such, but it will be me talking to the audience about how you can take back. And I'm being straight with you. You're not going to do it. You're being conned by Restore Britain. They are taking hold. I get it. I consider them to be a regiment, another unionist regiment, and I do believe that the unionists are panicking to try and bring in so they're bringing in another hierarchy of unionists, putting English flags out to say, yeah, we'll support you. And really what they're doing is just conning you again, right? That's exactly what they're doing. The same as what UKIP did, the same as what the Brexit Party did, the same as what Reform are doing. It's just the unionists panicking. I personally believe that they are inflicting wounds upon themselves, really, by doing it. I think they're weakening their position, because the more unionist parties you create, people are fed up with that. The only thing the English have never had on the table is full independence, and we've never been asked. And I wanted to try and show you something. I did actually put it out today. Whether I can find it or not is another question. But there was someone sent me 2 video clips from a series. I think it was on ITV recently, I believe, and it was about the Secret Service had put into had been asked to look at this member of Parliament. Let me see if I can find it for you, because it was really interesting. You've all heard of predictive programming, and they'll start putting this stuff out on mainstream media. And what they was actually saying in this, let's see if I can go and find it for you and bring it up. And again, what I am seeing, do you remember when I got a few followers? There was loads of followers come on to me. They're all unionists. And now I'm coming under attack because I've started to say Restore are not who you think they are, right? And I'm severely being attacked on Twitter, right? Listen, I'm used to this shit, right? Again, I'm not going to be throwing a wobbler tonight, but I can tell you now, Restore are not who they say they are, right? You are being conned. And Lotus has started to move towards doing the same thing, right? Just the same as Tommy Robinson, all getting up there, putting their English lapel badges on. Charlie Downs was doing it as well, putting the thumbs up when you put your English badge and all that. They're just fucking conning you. Absolutely conning people. They do not give a flying fuck about England. I can tell you that now. So I'm not interested. By the way, all of these people coming back to me, I'm blocking them, right? I did it before. Anyone who had a British flag, Union flag, I just blocked them. I'm just doing that. I'm not interested in them at all, right? They've got plenty of places they can go if you want to destroy England, right? Restore, Reform, Labour Party, at least the Labour Party was honest. They actually said they wanted to do that, right? Conservative and Union Party, it's all out there for you. It's all out there for you. The only place, the only people, and the mainstream media and the alternative media are stopping this voice getting out there because they know there is a massive pent up demand for this, right? Why do you think England is the only nation out of the constituent nations of the United Kingdom, right? UK. Why do you think they're the only people who've never been given a referendum? Why do you think that is? Why do you think England is the only nation state that has never, ever had a national referendum on anything on its own? Right? Because you're lined up to be being destroyed by regionalisation. That's it. That's all they ever intended to do. Right? And there's no one else out there. No one, zero, no one out there. They're all brainwashed with this union bullshit, right? And I'm still trying to find, if I can find it, I think it was ITV. Let's see if I can give myself a filter check and someone will see it. Here it is. I found it. It's on my screen. Now, I've just sent these out. I'm going to send it out to everyone. It only had that much of a viewing. And I've said it is predictive programming, right? But I'm going to show you this on the screen. I don't know if you can hear it. It was just recorded off the stream, right? What's this one say? Urban Druid. I do still think restore a part of the queue up. Tactical play, I'll vote for them, but eyes open. I don't think there anything to do with that. I think that's all bullshit. Total and utter bullshit is the answer, right? All they're doing is securing. If I can bring this up, I'm not sure if I can bring it up any further, right? But let's see if I can bring this up. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this, all right? But like I say, I'm not going to get annoyed over this anymore. I'm just going to say, listen, if you want to destroy England, crack on. I'm not interested. I believe in self-determination. We are not. No one is allowing us to speak on any of these platforms. There's a handful of us out there that get it. The fact these people want to assist in destroying England is. We're not running out of time. We've run out of time, right? And then I want to get on to another subject. But have a listen to this. This was on some ITV program. It was a series, and it was to do with the Secret Service, right? And do you remember when I brought that up the other day and I read out? Funny enough, I got it here. I read out the Lord Denning's report, and it was on the Profumo affair. And then he read out what it is that the Secret Service should be doing, and they shouldn't be getting involved in any of this predictive programming stuff.
A great chat to lose you both.
Sinn Féin this morning are calling for a referendum on whether Northern Ireland should leave the United Kingdom. If you become Prime Minister, would you agree to that demand?
Perhaps it's time we ask the English. They pay for the Union, after all. The UK, in or out. Foreign Secretary, is that really how you are launching your campaign, by playing the dog whistle of English nationalism?
Right, so let's go on to the next one.
Well, I hope it was worth it. Absolute chaos here. I saw that lunatic on GMB this morning talking about a referendum for the English to leave the UK.
It's just the populist flavour. He can't really, can he?
Well, who knows? They just put a rocket up Imogen's arse. Now he's declared, and she's still on the fence.
Do you think anyone else will run?
No, not if she stops dragging her bloody heels, no.
Okay, Mark.
Well, I hope it was worth it. Absolutely.
So I'm just going to Go back. Let me click off of that. How do I get off of that one? Let's go back on this one again.
So obviously it'd be a great shame to lose you both.
Sinn Féin this morning are calling for a referendum on whether Northern Ireland should leave the United Kingdom. If you become Prime Minister, would you agree to that demand?
Perhaps it's time we ask the English. They pay for the Union, after all. The UK, in or out. Foreign Secretary. Is that really how you are launching your campaign, by playing the dog whistle of English nationalism? So obviously it'd be great.
So basically what they're doing there, let me come off of that a second. Oh, I'm trying to escape that one. I've just put that out to you. What basically they're in them two little clips, they're state. So this is part of the predictive programming. That anyone talks about English nationalism and English independence and an English referendum are nutty, right? Or that they are agents of Russia. Just think about that, right? And that was a program that's put out. Do you remember a few weeks ago they started attacking someone else and said, "Oh, like anyone when we've restored Britain," and it said, "Listen, they was all up in arms. Oh, what's anyone who puts a freedom of information request in is a terrorist." So now what they're actually saying is any politician that asks for a referendum on English independence, yeah, is a nutter or Russian influence or a Russian agent. That's what that was about, right? Can you see? So I'm asking you, the audience, can you see what they're doing, right? And it is my opinion and strong opinion that Restore are part of that. I think Rupert Lowe is part of that. I think his team is part of that, right? You're just being suckered. That's my strong opinion. And there's been no real communication. There has been some communication with me, but they're not interested at all. They are only about unionism. It's what's completely slaughtered England, right? So what I'm going to try and do now is explain something else, because we're going to go back to this Ukrainian woman that's working. The ephone that's got this bang on, right? I didn't know this, and I'm being honest with you. When I see it, I was skeptical and thought, no, that can't be right. And then I did my own search. Let's see if I can bring it up on the screen. Right, I did my own search at Company's House, and everything they were saying was true. Right, what the Ethernet's, the research they'd done on it was absolutely true. So let me see if I can bring up the two bits of information. This on the screen at the moment, so I'm going to have to move it down. This, again, this is someone who this is the wife of the communications officer, right? The wife of the communications officer of Restore Britain, who runs the parliamentary communications and the actual team itself. Let me just make sure that this sound is still working properly. Oh, yeah, still on my road mic, right? So there it is, appointed on the 24th of June. This is for this company, Ukrainian, United Kingdom, right? So what I'm going to do now is show you another one. Hopefully I'll go back. I think it's that one. And this is the guy himself, Alistair Earl Harrison. Again, correspondence address, Suite 4, Millennium House, Campson, blah, 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 Yarmouth, Great Yarmouth, Norfolk, etc. Director, active, date of birth, 1992, appointed 2020, nationality British, right? Remember that there was one positive, if you want to call it that, about Rupert Lowe. He actually called himself English on Company's House. This guy, and evidently this fella does not like any form of nationalism, right? And he's the fella that's running it. Now, remember, once you understand who she is, right? So, Katerina Petrenko, right? I'm going to explain something to you because I think it's important. I've been up the High Courts of Justice many times, and I've put paperwork in. You go up the fees office and all that. They're all Muslims, right? When I say all, I mean the majority, right? Are Muslims. Some of them don't even know what departments they are. You have to explain things 1,500 times. Again, when I went up there before, they didn't even know an election petition court existed in the Royal Courts of Justice, right? And the guy had to come out and actually tell them, listen, I've spoken to the manager. They know that we just need to take this fee, right? And bearing in mind, I had to come back from Portugal because of this mob, right? When I was out there on the yacht. Now, so once you understand that in a parliament situation, whilst he's getting up there giving it large, he's got foreigners in his team, and he's saying he's going to do this and he's going to do that, right? So then you want to think about what happened, and I'll give you an example in Bethnal Green, right? And I will do in about 2 seconds, right? So Bethnal Green had a particular policy, right? That's in East London. And I think it was, what was the policy called?
It was Sons and Daughters Scheme.
Right, there was something called a Sons and Daughters Scheme for people that lived in Tower Hamlets and that area and Bethnal Green, right? What did that mean? It meant that they would prioritise housing for the sons and daughters of the people that already lived there, right? So if you was an East Ender and you was living in Bethnal Green and you had children, and then your children, for whatever reason, didn't have enough money in that area anywhere near the city to go and, get a mortgage or whatever, they could apply to the council, and because they was the sons and daughters of someone who was already living there, they would prioritise your housing for you to get a place, right? And then what happened?
Right, so that scheme was brought out sort of mid 1980s, and it was brought out by the Lib Dems with the local council at the time. In 1994.
In 1994, can you all hear this? Can you hear the pearly queen of Bethnal Green talking to you? Can you all hear her? Because I'll have to point this mic over a bit further. Let me bring it over a touch more. Let me bring that screen out of the way. Can you all hear her? If you can't hear her properly, give me a 5x5 if you can hear Janet, right? Because she actually used to live there. 5x5, right? You can hear it, right? Right. Yes. Say it again. So in
1994.
Speak up. Yeah.
Labour was then elected as the local council.
Right.
And in 1994, same year, the Sons and Daughters Scheme was done away with.
Right. And what was the reason for that?
The reason was because it was unfair to Black and Asian people, that the white people were being prioritised.
Right.
So, bearing in mind, it was their mums and dads and nans and granddads that had always lived in that area.
And it was the mums and dads and nans and granddads that got bombed during the Second World War in the Blitz. Right, and had to go down at not only Anderson shelters, but also down the tube when we got bombed every fucking night. And my dad still remembers the doodle bugs. And when he was talking to me recently at 96 years old, had tears in his eyes when he was remembering what it was like to hear them things come over and then bombing. So what they're saying is the Labour Party then come in. So the Lib Dems allowed for white working class people to still be in their own communities. Yep. And then that was brought in the 1980s to try and secure the future of white people in the East End. Yeah. And then what happened the Labour Party got in 1994.
Yeah, and the same year they've done away with the sons and daughters.
So in the same year as they got in, the Labour Party got in, they absolutely took down that policy, and they actually said it is because it is unfair to Asian and black people.
Yeah,
right?
It's discriminating against them, basically.
It was discriminating against
so
them.
They brought in a new scheme, and instead of being for sons and daughters, it was for people with needs. And at the top of that list, the most needy were people that was in overcrowded accommodation. So families of 7, 8, 9, 10 living in small places. White people at that time weren't having families that big, so who was being prioritised then?
The Pakistani immigrants. So the Asians, the Pakistanis, so they're knocking out kids, 4, 8, 10 kids living in a property, and they was then prioritised yet again over and above white people. Bearing in mind that we was all told, don't have too many children and all this bullshit, right? That was it. So do you all understand where that come from? Let me have a look.
Say something else as well. They don't build much housing in town hamlets, but when they do, I guarantee you, just say, for example, they build 20, 30 houses on a new estate, half of them will be anything up to 10 bedrooms. I don't know any white families that need 10 bedrooms.
What, some of them properties they build are 10-bedroom properties?
10 bedrooms.
Some of the properties that the council are building are 10-bedroom properties, and they're council houses. Did you all hear that, by the way?
And that's to accommodate not only one man and his kids, but he's also his second wife and their kids.
And his second wife and their kids.
Yeah, I mean, none of my nieces and nephews can live in Bethnal Green where they was born.
And I believe they've just said now that they're going to, I don't know if this is true or not, that they're going to allow benefits for the second and third wives.
Yeah.
For the husband who don't work. Let me just make sure. Are you all listening to this, by the way? Right. So what you've just listened to, right, is Janet, who you see the engagement ring last week, right, or last night, right? We are getting married. I knew her 30 years ago. I knew the East End 30 years ago. The whole place is completely and utterly fucked, right? Mm-hmm. It is just Pakistanis. She gets chased down. She used to get chased down the road by Pakistanis offering her £5,000 to marry her, right? Just so they can get whatever visa requirements that they required at the time, right? And she used to tell them to get away from her, right? Now, also, there's a lot. So again, there was a BBC documentary, and the documentary. Let me pull this out of the way again. The BBC documentary was entitled "White Flight," right? And they showed the people moving out to Epping Forest and Essex and all that and getting out, right? And I don't blame them for getting out, the ones who had the brains to get out, but there was other people for various reasons. And just to let you know, Janet's dad was a working class geezer. He was a taxi driver, black taxi driver. He earned money. He had 5 kids, right? They lived in a council house. He was happy just earning a decent pound note and going on family holidays once or twice a year, and just looking after his family. He weren't interested in anything else. That's like what most working class people are like. And then, but they started off with gentrifying East London by bringing in middle class families. Right? If you go to, I'm not going to say where Janet's mum lives now, but if you went to that road, there's a lot of middle class people. The houses that were sold off, that were council houses, are now like £1 million, right? And then the council houses that are built for Asians, mainly Pakistani Muslims, and Bangladeshi Muslims, and black Muslims, right? There's hardly any Christians there at all, right? But there's more to this story that I want to tell you, because it's important that people understand this, because then you'll understand my anger, right? People won't understand my anger unless they know or they've lived what I've lived through and what the people I know have lived through. And people in Devon and people in, and I'm not being disrespectful, people all around the country. There's a few places around the country that know what I'm talking about, but not many, and certainly not on the scale of London. Right? You're talking about millions of people displaced, right? Millions of people displaced, not just a few 100,000. I'm talking about millions of us, white people, were displaced from London, right? That's when I get fed up with people like Charlie Downs and all these other people and then waving their Christianity bollocks in my face, right? They are fucking Catholic and they're being, and I am sure, positive, they're being fucking controlled by Jesuits. And it's not paranoia, right? What I do is read old law books and see what they did then, and you can start to match it up exactly like Michael Yon does, right? When he buys the old books and he sees the old maps and he tells you there's a famine, they're planning a famine, right? And I can tell you what they're planning. But I want to. This is why it relates back to this Katerina Petrenko, right? This is the bit that's made me. This is the same old shit, right? When they started doing that in the East End and Tower Hamlets Council, without going into detail with anyone you know who worked at the council for protective reasons, what happened with the council? Did they start employing Bangladeshis, Pakistanis and Muslims in Tower Hamlets Council once they put in place the influx of Pakistani, Bangladeshi Muslims? What happened to the council and the council jobs?
Right, I'll give you one example. Somebody I know did a job for years at Tower Hamlets. They retired. 6 months later, they got a phone call. That person, who was white, had their job, was when they retired, there was 4 Bengalis doing that job that one person used to do. And they messed it up so much because they was employed, not because of their capabilities, but because of who they were and what they looked like, that the person that had retired was asked to go back for 6 months to sort the mess out that they had created. That's just one example. And I've heard that time and time and time again.
Right. So getting back to the employment, were they were they then only employing Bangladeshis and Pakistanis in the council, and then they started controlling the elections?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I used to live opposite a school.
Go on.
And we used to stand there and watch Labour candidates outside talking to every Bengali that went in, and we also saw them exchange money. And the rumour was it was £10 a go, right? To go and tell them where to put they'd give them £10 if they went in and put their cross right where it was, right in the right place. So it was rife. It was rife.
It was rife. And now the East End of London it's a nightmare. It certainly, most of the pubs have shut down. Most of the old boozers that I know have either closed down or become something else, like a madras, or become something to do with the Muslim community. Some of them have been turned into quasi-mosques. One of the biggest mosques in the country is in the East End, right? And it costs millions, multi-millions of pounds. Now, when you go around and look at our churches, they're all falling to pieces, or the local community, like we see one yesterday, local community had to raise the money. It was hundreds of thousands of pounds to repair the church that had been there for over 1,000 years, and no money was available apart from the local community to put that church right. And it's still used, but it's not packed. But again, just have a look at what they're saying.
Can I just say as well, something else that is rife in Tower Hamlets?
I've started her off now. Go on.
Yeah, I'm going to start ranting. I won't go as bad as you, though. What a lot of them are doing, they teach Arabic classes at home. A lot of them do that, and they use their homes as places of worship.
Yeah.
If they're using their home as a place of worship, they're exempt from
council
paying the
tax.
council tax.
So when you go and ask,
and that is rife.
And that's rife. Did you all hear that? So if they use their home as a place of worship, they don't have to pay any council tax, and they don't pay council tax. In the main, these Pakistanis and Bangladeshis do not pay council tax. So the only other option is to keep putting up the council tax of the white people who have got the jobs. They see benefits that they are being paid as like a jizra, a tax, right? That's the way they see it. So just to make sure everyone understands that. Now, knowing what you have just heard, and none of that is bullshit, all of that is factual, and that's from someone who's lived in the East End, same age as me, all of their life, right? Do you now understand why I get angry when I see foreigners working in our parliament, working for a political party, right, that is conning the English yet again, that has got a foreigner? You've got Rupert Lowe calling everyone indolent, right? When what actually happens is we are discriminated against. We can't get the jobs. We're pushed out of our own communities. We're pushed out pushed out of where our ancestors fucking lived, right? And one of the things that makes me angry is places like Devon, right? I love Devon to bits, right? It is crucial to England, right? And certainly it is crucial to the settlement of 1688. I want everyone to understand this, right? These people sit there and don't realise what's going on. Just across the road from me, there's a family of blacks have just moved in with their kids, right? Just up the road, there's some Pakistanis just moved in with their kids, right? It may have took 30 years for them to take East London, and that's what they did. It's took them 30 years to take it. They've taken Rotherhithe, right? So you've got the mill wall sitting there, right? They've taken Rotherhithe. The Old Kent Road ain't the Old Kent Road anymore in what I knew when I was an 18-year-old, right? They've taken the capital city, at least 60%, and that's on the good side, right, are now foreigners, complete foreigners, right? So there's a lot more people living in London than what they think, because a lot of these people are not even registered to live in London, right? You're talking at least, right, 12 million foreigners that are already here. There's only a population in Devon of 800,000 tops, right? How long do you think it's going to be before they take Devon? It's simple to take Devon. It's simple to take Cumbria. They've already started on Cumbria with the mosques, right? And so when you see me get angry that we're being conned again, right? And I'm going to try my hardest not to get angry, right? I've seen this. I'm not, and that is why I cannot support a unionist party. I cannot support unionism. Unionism created what we've got now, right? We didn't have this. If you go back and look in history, in 1690, there was a speech, and that speech was about this is what's going to happen if you bring in a British nationality. And that was for white Protestants from Europe. It was nothing to do with race, right? And in the end, in 1708, they had to stop it. It got in. They brought it in 1708, and if you like, they put a stop to it until then. They brought it in 1708. By 1711, Queen Anne had stepped in and said, this has got to stop. right? And they reversed it. They abolished it. They made it void, and they said all the people have been let in. You're going, right? So it's not the first time in history this has happened. But the problem we've got are these people, and especially Catholics and the Jesuits, and everyone keeps blaming the Jews. I'm sick of these people blaming the Jews, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews. Listen, there's major issues with Jews, right? I'm not saying there isn't, but it's not just the Jews. It's the fucking Jesuits. We banned them people from this country, England, for a reason, right? And the same shit is going on again. You're repeating history, right? Now, we've got Jewish arms manufacturers in this country exporting their weaponry, right, straight out to Israel, being used to kill Palestinian, Muslims, and Christians, right? That's what's happening. It is a genocide. They've now attacked Iran. And they're saying Iran have got ballistic missiles. They can reach the UK. They can reach Europe. The only reason they do that is because you're manufacturing the weapons that are killing their people. Right? That's what's happening. And again, this case. So this barrister, the one where the person was tried, or people were tried twice. They were found not guilty. The barrister stood up and said, you've got jury equity, they've called it. It's basically the jury are nullifying the law, right? In a particular case. Not all cases, not all of the law. They can nullify. The jury is your last defence. And it's English common law. It is English constitutional law that they can do that. But what they don't tell you is the same barrister that stood up, who's made himself a hero, is a foreigner. And that same foreigner, 30 years ago, stood up and got the law changed to so we used to have a rule that you couldn't be tried twice for the same crime. If you got not guilty, it was not guilty, right? That was the law. And in the Stephen Lawrence case, he was the barrister. A foreigner was the barrister who got the law changed. And it come back and bit him on his arse 30 years later when he's put in again a situation to a jury. He wins the case and then he gets done for contempt of court. And now the appeal court, 3-0, have come down and said the judge does not have jurisdiction to refer that for contempt, right? I won a case 3-0, right, in the appeal court. You was all there witnessing it, right? But they won't pay me, right? They've got a monopoly. The crooks are wearing wigs and gowns. It's not just the politicians, but it's the people backing the politicians in their offices that are foreigners. The same as in them council buildings, right? Stacked out with foreigners. How have you got a chance against that? And it's the unionists that have done that. It's not the English constitutionalists or nationalists. Why am I not an EFO nationalist? Because I don't believe that you should throw out every black person and every brown person. If they're good people, even better if they're Christian, right? Even better if they're Protestant. Orthodox Christianity I'll allow as well, right? As long as it's not popish, I'd still consider them to this day to be a problem, right? And look around you. Go into East London, especially the people that live in Devon, right? They may occasionally travel up. I know people around here that have never been to London. So they look at me as some sort of bigot and racist, right? Really? So we're the ones being displaced in our own country and no one fucking bats an eyelid. They all want to wave the fucking British Union flag. It don't make any sense to me. So when I see that Katerina Petrenko and foreigners are in there, and again, you've got this woman called Orla, who's fucking Irish, right? The only reason she started sticking her neck above the water is because all of a sudden they started piling them into Epping. The people of Epping, we had a seminar booked there to talk about English, and it was an Irishman complained, right? And then they shut down the whole seminar. Cost us money, right? They actively discriminated and said, "You're talking about England. We're not interested. We're shutting it down. You're not having your seminar here," right? We went to another place, and it was a foreigner, right, that was running it. As soon as she started hearing us talking about England, she wanted to shut us down. And you're wondering why I get angry. Do you all understand what I'm saying to you? Right? I'm sick of being conned. We're not running out of time. We've run out of time. This nonsense with Restore Britain and waving the fucking English flag because they're suckering you in. They're putting the English again on the merry-go-round, giving you false hope. That's what they're doing. All of them are doing it. They wear their little lapel English badge, right? As soon as they're on something else, they pull it off, right? They're not like us. We are the only group of people that talk about the English Constitution, enforcing our laws, right? And I do talk about re-immigration. England have always had banishment. If you are a threat to this realm, you must go. It ain't hard. That's our constitution. That's our legal system. That's our law. When they brought in Scotland into our English Parliament, right? It was them coming into our English Parliament. They brought Roman law into that Parliament. That's when it started to go seriously wrong. Read the old law books and it tells you. Anyone who is a constitutional monarchy or a constitutional republic, but a Roman law, they fail. The only system that has progressed and stayed there, look at England, 100 years old, right, is because they're a common law jurisdiction. The old Anglo-Saxon way of doing things, right? All about to go. England deceased, no more. And that's why I cannot support Restore Britain. And the trigger point for me was Rupert Lowe blatantly lying to you. I consider him to be dishonourable. I consider his staff to be dishonourable. And I consider him to be blatant liars. They are no different to the rest, right? And the only way the English are going to get out of this is if they stand up and say, we want a referendum. You're already seeing on the IT. Now, I don't watch TV. Someone's just sent it to me, really lovely fella, Andy, sent it to me today. I said, have you seen this? And that is predictive programming by the media, saying in them two clips that if you want English independence, you're either a Russian agent or you're cuckoo, right? What did they used to say about UKIPers? Was it swivel-eyed loons, right? Same shit, different day, right? The Unionists, the British Unionists, are no different to the Remainers. Do you remember how mad the Remainers were about the European Union? Do you remember how mad they was? The British Unionists have got the same mindset. They're just as mad as what they are, right? But they expect us to suffer all this. And they look at the working class, especially this Montgomery Tom's geezer, right? I mean, I had someone last night message me and said, leave his mum and dad out of it. Why should I? Why should I? They're part of the professions, right? They've created this thing, right, that's slagging off the English yet again, right? Calling us lazy, right? The only reason he's probably used the word lazy instead of indolent is he can't spell it. So all I'm saying to everyone out there is understand my anger, right? There is no time to be conned anymore. You either stand up for England or you don't, right? We're the majority. We're the people that should We are the people, right? We're the ones who take this country back. You don't stand there as a unionist, as a minority. Go and have a look at the census 2011. There is a pent-up demand. Why don't you ever ask the English in a referendum? A national referendum for the English only, right? Do you want to leave this union, right? And it must say this: void the Acts of Union. Not repeal it. Void the Acts of Union, right? The Scots don't want to leave. They don't even need a referendum. They've got 57 whatever MPs in Westminster. All they've got to do is recall them to Holyrood, open Holyrood up as a sovereign parliament, have a committee and do exactly the reverse process of how they created their part of the Acts of Union. That's it, it's gone. They go and have a vote, a majority vote. They vote to void the union, the Scottish part of the union. That's it, it's all over. They won't do it. They know in law that they can do that, but they keep saying, oh, we'll have a referendum, we'll have a referendum. Oh, the British, the English won't let us have a referendum. You don't need one. But all the foreigners are given British passports to stop us, the English, pushing forward for a referendum. And Rupert Lowe is allowing it. Rupert Lowe has got people in his team that are foreigners, right? And then he has the front to call us indolent. Disgusting. That's why I get angry. Do you all understand why I get angry? Right? So when you've got someone and you know people in the East End and you see what they've done to the East End, you've seen what they've done in South East London, you've seen what they've done in South London, right? And let me tell you something. Let me tell you a true story, right, from history. North Londoners used to look down on South Londoners. The Woolwich Ferry sunk, right, capsized. And the people in the rowing boats going out doing the rescues would ask the people in the water before they went to rescue them, are you from south of the river or north of the river, right? And if you was south of the river and you didn't have a shilling on you, they let you drown. That's true. Go and read it, right? And if you was from north of the river and didn't have a shilling on you, right, they would take your word as credit and fucking pull you out of the water and row you back to the shore, right? That's how bad discrimination's always been there, right? People with my accent, these snotty-nosed bastards in North London, have always felt that way, right? And that's the way it is. So do you all understand that? Let me just have a look. Right, it's the English Anglo-Saxons and the Jacobite Jews, Loyalist Protestants. One of Union Catholics want 3 countries back. As far as I can see, the Catholics are not with us, and it's because of the Jesuits, right? As far as I can see, that is the case. I'm not saying all Catholics. Some Catholics. I was married to a Catholic for 33 years. It never caused any problems whatsoever. But the more you read about history, and the more you understand what the Jesuits actually do in the background, they are very, very dangerous people. Right, someone else has just said that you have to join their branches. Listen, all I'm saying to you is all they're doing is drawing people in. They'll take anything away from English nationalism, English referendum, and you'll be dumped on yet again. That's exactly what's happening, right? There's a simple way in which they could solve it. They'll say, listen, we'll give the English a national referendum. The English only, on whether they stay in the union. But even then, you've got a problem with the mainstream media because you're going to be told lies after lies after lies. Exactly what happened with the European Union, right? I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the lies. I'm sick of what they're doing, right? And I'm pretty pissed off with what these people are doing in the background. We can't go. We can't do anything else than that, really. Any questions? So don't forget, I'm at this event, and I did say where it was. I'm going to see if I can go and pick it up again for you. Right. So when you see me throw a mini wobbler, it's because listen. I don't like being conned at all by these people. I am English, right? I am not British. I don't want any part of the union whatsoever. I want to go out and earn a pound note, even at my age now. I want all the regulation gone. I want all these fucking foreigners gone. And I don't care if people start losing fucking hundreds of millions and billions on their fucking houses. So fucking what? The country is more important than what they think they've got, and all they've done is rob the next generation. That's exactly what they've done. So let me just have a quick look and see if I've got any questions. Sounds. Let me have a quick look. Right, this is the gaff. I'm going to have to send it out. And it's 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. I don't know what time I'll be speaking. But I hope this comes out in the thing. Hopefully it'll come out there. That's where we're going. Grays, Barn. It's frozen on your lap, you miss it. I agree. We need to get out there and do it anyway. I'm half English, half Irish. I believe English should be a thing, but where do I start being half? Where do you fucking live? If you're half English and half Irish, listen. This is part of the brainwashing, right? The British Nationality Act is what makes you British, but it's what makes all the foreigners British as well, right? So you can be Irish and still be allowed to be in our parliament, right? Believe it or not. Because they classed Ireland as a dominion of England, right? So get away from the brainwashing. It's all bullshit. Tiddly poo. Right, I'm going anyway. Hopefully you've enjoyed tonight's show and it's been somewhat of an explainer. But again, I don't want nothing to do with Restore Britain. I don't care. We're doing fine. People are listening. The seminars are definitely having an impact. People are going, oh, right, now we get it, right? And especially this British Nationality Act of 1948. We lost the Second World War, right, to the Soviets. And people just need to be told straight about what's actually going on. So I will see you all tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. live. Don't forget, I'll do this Monday through Fridays. Obviously, Thursday night, I will be there. I might try and do a live from the event, but only just to say hello. But I want everyone to understand, like, I'm not anti-Scots. I'm not anti-Welsh. I'm not anti-Irish. I'm certainly not anti-Northern Irish. They're more English than the fucking English, right? And again, like I said last night, they didn't get rid of their guns. They didn't surrender their weapons. They buried them. They knew that they'd have to fight again, and they will, right? It's what the English have done to themselves, really, and it's disgusting. And it is the British and these communists that got control of this country, and we need to take it back. So all I'm going to say is to everyone out there listening, thank you for tuning in tonight. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed on Rumble, come over to Rumble. The full English show on Rumble. We need to get our subscribers well in excess of 10,000. We are, believe it or not, doing okay over there. So, and it's the only place that's never took us down. I'm not really interested in YouTube. It's part of the PSYOP, exactly the same as Facebook, etc. And people need to understand where I stand on it. I'm an Englishman. The British Nationality Act, 1948, done so much damage. It was put in place by Clement Attlee, the Fabian, and it was put in place to destroy England, right? You haven't listen. I was going to say something to someone. I mean, this Montgomery Tons. I know a young working class kid. When I say kid now, he's in his 30s. He'd done really well in grammar school. He passed all his A levels, right? Loads of A levels. Highly intelligent, proper switched on kid, right? He's my nephew. He was offered a university place. You didn't go to university, but UK Power Networks came along and said, we want you to be an apprentice on the high power side of the network, right? By the time he was 25, right, he'd finished his apprenticeship. By the time he was 21, by the time he was 25, he was a joiner, and then he done further stuff, right, massively, right. He was earning £100,000 a year, right, as a tradesman, of knowing what he was doing, right. He's now 30 years old and earning 150,000 a year plus, right? And all because he turned down a university. He said, I'm not going to university. I'd rather get my hands dirty and think and use common sense. And literally, he can go anywhere in the world and work on the largest power networks in the world. Clever kid, right? But my point to you is, he didn't go to university. A lot of these people are now going. They brought in. It was Tony Blair that destroyed the apprentice schemes. It was Tony Blair and his merry men that brought in mass university, like put them into university. And all it is that when you're at university, you're classed as a student and you don't go on the unemployment register. It was a massive con. Right. And again, if you go back even 100 years ago, even 50 years ago, to try and get into university, you had to have some sort of brain to get in there. I mean, now, literally, they're packing it out with foreigners. They're suggesting that the universities are part of the economy. Right. That's all bullshit. Most of the people are not paying back the debts they left uni with, 40 grand debts in some cases. I spoke to a farmer the other day, and he got a scholarship to go to agricultural college. He left there. He had £200 in his pocket, and he built up a whole farm from that. Right, a proper grafter. So again, I'm not averse to hard work. My dad started work when he was 6 years old, picking shit up and selling it for tuppence a bucket, right? And horseshit, selling it for tuppence a bucket. And he ended up being taught to trade by my granddad. My granddad was in both the First and the Second World War. They pulled him out of the Second World War because his skills were worth more than putting him into a war situation. But all I'm doing is saying we're now being ignored. I've had enough of it, right? And we are being conned by Restore Britain without any doubts whatsoever. And if there's anyone out there that thinks, listen, if you're going to go in there and start talking to them, they're not going to listen to you. The hierarchy are not interested. They are unionists. That's the issue, right? You're not going to change it from the bottom up because the hierarchy won't allow it. They're another regiment of the unionist British regime. That's it. That's who they are. That's what they are. But they just won't declare it. That's it. Good night. God bless. Thank you for the well in excess of 1,000 viewers tonight. I think at one stage it went over 1,100. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share. It's really important. And again, I'm not here to have a pop at ethno-nationalist. That isn't my opinion. But the English Constitution solves 98% of their problems. So I don't know why they would not want to follow that through with English constitutionalism and independence, because we would take complete control of England. And what they call re-immigration is standard banishment under English law. That's it. Good night. God bless. Don't forget what I believe in.
Best wishes.
Huh?
Thank you to everyone for their messages they sent congratulating us.
Janet said, say thank you. She tells me off if I don't say thank you. For everyone sending their best wishes for our engagement. And don't forget, we will look at trying to work out some way of getting married where everyone can turn up and have a few beers. I know a nice little farm that might, but it's in Devon, that would incorporate that if it carries on. That is, what I mean is the farm. So everyone, don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution. There was many other things that I was going to talk about tonight as well. I'm going to keep it short, but just so you understand where I'm coming from. England is where we got to crack on from. I've just sent out that information, so I'll be there this Thursday between 6 and 10. I'm not doing a full seminar. I'm just going to be talking to people and talking about solutions, and talking about, and hopefully there's not too many free men and landers there. That's it. Good night. God bless. Au revoir. Tiddly poo and all that. And don't forget, we've got our major conference coming up, which is June the, hang on a minute, 5th, 6th and 7th, because on a I've got to see if I can find that. I have the information. I need it in writing to show people. But on a Friday night, I keep expressing that this guy is a comedian. He's a DJ. He's also a bit of a comedian. But he also he talks to people in depth. Someone's going to have to send me his name so I can put it up there. I can't find it on my screen. Right. He's going to be on there on the Friday night, but evidently he delves deep into the music industry and who they are and what they are and who funds them, etc. So I just want everyone to know that. Let me see if I can bring up my screen one up there. We need to start putting this out there because we definitely need to get as many people there. There's going to be some voting going on the Saturday and on the Sunday. Hopefully we'll have a few other people from our group as well explaining things. But the only people who are going to take this country back are the English. You ain't getting anywhere from anyone else, and especially not the British. They are a minority. And the 2011 census tells you that. There's 32.4 million English, wrote English only national identity on that census, and they flooded this country and given out British passports so they can overrun us. And I've just explained to you what happened in the East End. That's why I get so annoyed when I see foreigners and people calling us indolent. It's just disgusting. That's it. Goodbye. Good night. See you later. So on this event, this up on your screen, the guy that I've referenced as a comedian is Mark Devlin. So if anyone knows that name, let me see if I can actually bring it up on the screen. Hopefully it's going to show it. That's when it starts on the 5th. And I'm going to bring that over and see if I can push that up on the screen before we close tonight. There's the link if anyone wants to go and have a look. Right. That means I have to put this up. Let's see if I can put this up on the screen. Hopefully it's on your screen as we speak, right? This is the English Constitution Society.co.uk. Mark Devlin, Friday the 5th of June. So on the 6th, which is the Saturday, and then the 7th, we'll be doing our both conferences. So there's one on the English Constitution Society and one, and we'll be talking and doing and voting. It's really important, like that as many people turn up, and we'll have a few beers. But I need to record the votes so it stands up in a court of law. You know how important these things are. But Mark Devlin, Friday the 5th of June 2025. Tickets to see Mark Devlin are £5 on the door. Mark Devlin, speaker, DJ, author. Friday the 5th of June 2025, 7 p.m. to 10:30. We'll be up there. He's a UK-based club and radio DJ, music journalist and author. In 2010, he underwent what he refers to as a conscious awakening, bringing a new awareness of what really going on in the world. His special area of interest was how this ties into mainstream music industry, and this is all really interesting stuff, right? And the way in which A-list artists have been used to manipulate and mind control the masses in line with a much larger agenda. Remember, I spoke to you earlier about ITV putting out this series, right? And the series basically was was special, Secret Service, and they're referring to an English referendum and it being a Russian, the politician being a Russian asset, and all this nonsense that goes in the background, right? But he now presents public talks on these subjects, as well as appearing on radio and producing 2 regular podcast series. Tavistock, 100 Years of Brainwashing. There's a lovely image of that. Presentation by Mark Devlin. MK Ultra, Mind Control. All of this is actually real, by the way. So I'm pressed to go back. There you go. Right. And that's what's going to be on there. So we need to be showing that every day on here. Don't forget to come along to that. Let's see if I can kick off of that now. Hopefully I've done that justice by sending that information out there. I'm going to say good night, God bless, au revoir.